So we got a fun one, round 2. Hardened Scales Affinity versus Burn. So the deck has changed a little bit. Alright, it's gone through some changing since it first came out. Like, there was people that came up with this idea, I want to say about a year ago. Maybe even a little bit longer than that. Anyway, it came out. People were trying out this version of this kind of Hardened Scales style of play. And it is a powerful version of Affinity that just makes your stuff even better. So I'm going to put up, for those that are unfamiliar, Hardened Scales. Some real magic. So, this is where things can start to get a little bit crazy here. But we did see Matt did take 2 points of damage. And I'm going to do my best to try to keep up with things. But he's going to drop down to 18. And here's that Walking Ballista. He cast it for 1, but because Hardened Scales is there, if 1 or more +1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1 counters are put on instead. So add an extra 1, essentially, is what that means. So now that is a 2/2 Walking Ballista. So this is the style of the deck. You get the Hardened Scales. You're going to just make a bunch of essentially counters on your stuff. You're running a 4 of Hangerback. You're running a 4 of Walking Ballista. You're running a 4 of Arcbound, 4 of Steel Overseer, and a 4 of Arcbound Worker, which is a modular 1 for 1. You know, it's got the normal shenanigans with artifacts that you can do. Look, there's a Welding Jar on top. Matt's going to take 2. Drop down to 16. Lava Spike you, he says. Take 3 more. Go to 13. So it's a race between these two decks. The Welding Jar is nice. Oh, Arcbound, Ravager. That makes things a little bit crazy with your math. If you're sitting here trying to calculate things out, remember, whenever you're stacking stuff to it and you're supposed to add a +1, you'll be adding 2 because of that Hardened Scales. And here is that Steel Overseer. The deck is a really powerful go wide strategy that can go piercing like original Affinity. A lot of people are calling it Hardened Scales Affinity. Alright, so Matt's going to drop down to 10 from that bolt. Leighton on the other side is going to drop down to 18 from the Walking Ballista. Not 81, 18. Math is hard. Alright, Leighton's in the tank. Here's the thing, too. It's like you can't start pushing damage with that, right? If you go, okay, I'm going to come at you for 2, it's just going to get blocked and killed off. Keeping it on blocking duty is going to be helpful. He really has to think about, okay, I need to deal 10 points of damage, right? That's 4 burn spells, not including any Boros Charms, right? Or Boros Charm and 2 other burn spells. So you're 3 to 4 burn spells away from winning, but things are going to start getting out of hand very quickly on Matt's side now that he has Hardened Scales, Steel Overseer, Arcbound Ravager, and Walking Ballista. Like, he's got the Welding Jar to help protect his creatures. This is not the position that you want to be in when you're facing down the Hardened Scales deck. Looks like a second Walking Ballista is hanging out in Matt's hand. And it looks like he's fine with bringing that out. That'll have 2 counters on it. So he can, if he wanted to, yeah, we'll see the activation here. Everyone's going to get bigger. Bam. Everybody gets 2 counters on them, thanks to that Hardened Scales. And that is, I believe, the Throne of Geth that he just placed down. So you can sack an artifact with that and proliferate. So you can choose any number of permanents and or players with counters on them and give them each another counter of the kind that is already there. So he just makes it really big, right? And so this Walking Ballista is going to shoot that guy. Then he's going to say, okay, I'm going to swing at you for 12. And then shoot you with this Walking Ballista and kill you. You know, one of the ways that Leighton could have gotten out of this situation here is when Matt starts activating stuff, you try to fling some spells at the Arcbound or the Walking Ballista and force him to consider using that welding jar to regenerate them. Because in that sort of situation, the creature that would have been died, right? Essentially doesn't. But it is tapped. So Hardened Scales gets there, game 1. Leighton's gonna go into the board here and find all of his artifact removal and try to start bringing that in. Like, the deck is powerful. Like, you got to see it there, that whole nice setup. You got to think, though, is that cards that are also good against the other artifact decks that are running around, like Ironwork Combo, work pretty well against this Hardened Scales. Not letting him be able to activate the abilities of his artifacts is pretty nice. He can still just go really wide by having Hardened Scales and just playing some Walking Ballistas, though. All right, he might not be able to shoot you with them, but he can still start to kind of get in there. He also would have access to things like Ink Moth, Nexus, and, you know, man lands like that. So we're going to have to see how Leighton decides to go forward. Looks like he's got some Chain to the Rocks that he's going to bring in, which is a nice addition as well, because those sweet welding jars are not going to be effective because you're exiling that creature, not destroying it, and cannot regenerate it from that point. On Matt's side, I'm trying to think of anything that he might really want to bring in. Maybe Surgicals, if he's running him in his list. Ooh. Just for the fact that he could strip away some of the burn spells that way. Nature's Claim. Ah, he's got Nature's Claim. Okay, that makes sense. He can target his own stuff, gain some life off it. So Wiz asking in chat there, trying to figure out, okay, Matt, what exactly did you bring in? So we know he brought in Nature's Claim. How many are you running in the board? 4? Neighbor dog's going crazy. Okay, he does play Surgicals, but he only boarded in the claims. Kills Eidolon also. Good point. Eidolon is an enchantment. Alright, so here's a Swift Spear coming out. And there's our Arcbound Worker going to say, hey, I'm just a 1/1. Don't worry about me. But I'm worried. That can get out of hand. So we brought in all 4 of his Nature's Claim. Smart. Gain some life. Kill off Eidolons. Because again, Eidolons are really tough to deal with. Another Swifty. Coming at you for 2, he says. Dropping that down to 17. And yeah, you don't have to worry about that. You really want that modular trigger to get value later on. So shaved on Animate module, shaved on Throne, and added in the Nature's Claim. Okay, that's a really good tip and trick for players sitting at home. Steel Overseer is a nice addition here, but looks like Searing Blaze. Let's do 3 of that and 3 to you, and I'll get a Prowess trigger. Coming at you for 4. 2 each. Matt's going to drop down to 10, and he'll pass. Hangerback Walker is in his hand. Arcbound Ravager is in his hand. Walking Ballista is as well. So now he has some blockers available to him. What's nice with the... Oh, Kataki. What's nice with the Arcbound is he can sack the Arcbound Worker to Arcbound Ravager, gain a +1, and then that modular trigger will also be able to go. Sack to this, that gets a 2, and then the modular moves over, it becomes a 3. Block 1, 1 dies, I'll take 1, go to 9. Have to pay 1 off that Kataki. It's like there was, I believe, a Nature's Claim that was picked up. He gets another Arcbound Worker. Push for 3 damage here. And Leighton's going to drop down to 17. There is a Boros Charm in hand. I mean, you might as well attack with your Swift Spear. I mean, he's going to be blocking with it and sacking it anyways, but you might as well. I'll sack this to this. Now it becomes a 6. That goes away. Keep that tapped. So he says, no, I'll keep it back on blocking duty. He's got the charm, but again, it's that point where he's running out of gas and needs to start getting some answers. Coming at you for 6, he says. Swift Spear immediately jumps in the way. Leighton can fling 4 now at Matt if he wanted, but chooses not to. Here's a Searing Blaze. So that's 7 points of damage that is available in Leighton's hand. Here's 2. Puts you to 7. I'll fetch. Go into 16. There is still a Nature's Claim in Matt's hand, though. Three and 3, he says. That's going to go down to 4. And he says, okay, I'll Nature's Claim that and stay at 4, essentially. Basically nullifying that. But now he's got no board presence. And he's got to hope that he can kind of get back in it now. That's pretty nice. Walking Ballista for 1, so we can just kind of ping off that. That's still alive, he says. That guy dies. Swift Spear deals no damage. All the damage gets absorbed by that Walking Ballista. Hardened Scales, it looks like, and a Hanger Back. No, Evolutionary Leap, not Hardened Scales, sorry. So, Evolutionary Leap, for those that are not familiar with it, we'll throw it up in chat as well. And again, you can do that if there's any card that we're talking about that you're not sure. You simply type exclamation card, the card's name, and it'll pop up for us with our handy dandy MTG bot. And Eidolon is a great play for Leighton to kind of really stop Matt from doing much. And he says, I'll block with this. I'll get my 1/1. So, Evolutionary Leap, sack a creature, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest in the bottom in any random order. Again, it's the House of Cats, and one of my cats is bringing me something, apparently. Hi, Sophie. What'd you bring me? Alright, looks like we will be seeing Hangerback come out. Leighton's going to lose 2. Coming at you with this 2/3 here. He says I'll block and I'll sack it to this, try to find a creature. There's one creature. That goes on the bottom. Passes turn. So, if my math is right, Matt is in trouble. Now he's got the Evolutionary Leap so he can sack the Hanger back. And he's got enough mana that he can activate it and sack it and do all that shenanigans if he wanted to. But right now he's just making it bigger. But Matt can't play anything, so he has to rely on the hanger back to get it done. Unless my math is off. It might be. Oh no, he's playing it for 4, so he doesn't take any damage off of the Eidolon. So he's not like officially locked out in that regard. Because Eidolon, well, there's the bolt. Targeting you, it says you'll take 2 down to 12. Let's shoot that. Let's shoot that. Now I'll use this and gain 4 life. Go to 5, take 3, go to 2. And he got rid of the Eidolon, which is nice. Can't really push the Swift Spear though, because it is only a 2/3. Interesting. Sending a message. That's what's happening there. Matt's doing a really good job hanging in here at this point. And really starting to turn the tide around. Where he's like, Steel Overseer, Walking Ballista, if you can't find a burn spell, I'm going to kill you. Eidolon is not a burn spell. Now he's debating about going wide with all the flyers, which is not a bad choice. But it's still only 8 points of damage, essentially. So, here's the choice. Steel Overseer. Make everybody bigger. He could have the Hangerback push for damage here if he wanted. Put an extra counter on that. Still have the mana to sack with the Evolutionary Leap. So let's push for damage. Here's 7 coming across. Yeah, you have to kind of jump in the way, because if you do not block and you go, okay, he's at 2, I'm not going to block so I can attack with it, he's just going to shoot it with the Hangerback or with the Walking Ballista and it won't matter. What a comeback for Mr. Matt Harshman. Playing cool under pressure, not giving in, really finding those lines with the Nature's Claim. And, you know, Eidolon is a really hard card to battle through with this deck, but he played it really well, making sure that when he was casting his stuff, he had enough mana so he wasn't taking extra damage on it. So, like the Walking Ballistas, Hangerback's casting him for 4. So, really, really nice play in that regard. So, nice job. Hardened Scales Affinity. Powerful deck. It is a powerful deck. Good reason to be out there running it right now. And you'll see it a lot more. Even pretty much every event that you're going to be going to in regards to Modern, you're going to see at least 1 or 2 in the room. Like it's a strong deck to be playing. So, all right, so we are moving right along. 2 rounds done, and it's been less than an hour. What's happening tonight, guys? It's all just like speed games, it seems. So we've got 2 more rounds to go tonight. Again, a kind of quick one, but I encourage you guys, if you're liking the coverage tonight, please consider hitting the follow, subscribes if you're liking what you're seeing. Does help support the channel, supports the content that we're producing in regards to Magic the Gathering. So let's hop on over to round number 3.